I wish
All
it
right.
was. No snow, warmer.
All right, my broadcast is up. Broadcast. We are live. Let me get this.
What are she alive?
We are live. Let me go back and share this.
I didn't hear me in your broadcast. Why don't I hear me?
You don't hear me? You don't hear yourself?
I heard you. I didn't hear myself.
In mine?
In yours.
That's not good.
Unless I'm mistaken, it's not a big issue if you don't hear me. I don't have much to say anyway.
It would be a big issue.
I would think so, yeah.
And do you know the Muffin Man? Let me hop on your stream for a minute. Let me see if I hear you. You think it'd be done with this,
you
know?
come through, Z. You come through.
Oh, I hear. Yeah. I'm good. Yep.
Oh, you're just dumb. Okay.
Pretty much. Sometimes that happens. I have a clinical issue with just being dumb.
A clinical issue.
Clinical.
Yeah.
Clinical.
Yeah. There's a chronological.
Hey, let's get started.
It's not.
hey, let's get started officially. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Crafting a Chat. Chat. With Adam, Genesis, and your boy Giuseppe Jones. We're here crafting a chat for all of our millions and millions and millions of fans, followers, subscribers, acolytes, disciples, minions.
Minions of the darkness.
Minions of awesomeness. So, it's been another crazy week. Hopefully everyone enjoyed their Thanksgiving holidays, nice treats. Hopefully you were able to spend some good restful time. I was not. A number of people out there also were not. But I hope Adam and Genesis maybe... I hope you guys did. Did you guys enjoy the little break, the little holiday time?
Yeah, it was good.
Good.
Yeah, I enjoyed mine.
Yeah.
And what kind of games were you...
weekend.
Oh, awesome. What kind of games were you playing this past week, as well as over the
what did I play? Modern Warfare. I got Moving Out. I played some of that. My brother-in-law was in town, so I played some of that with him. What else? I installed Sackboy, installed Little Hope, installed Resident Evil 3. Gonna probably start those within the upcoming week. And I don't think I've played... Oh, I played some Diablo 3 with a friend who was not on in quite some time, so I played some Diablo 3.
D3. Coming at you. What about you, Adam? Fun times?
I've been hopping on that Minecraft train. Been playing a lot of Minecraft.
Nice.
A good mix of this world and the realm that we have going on right now.
Ooh.
That I still got to get you in, Giuseppe.
Yes.
But yeah, I actually played like for an hour and a half or so before hopping on here in that realm with our friend Chris. And then, what else did I play? I feel like I played a bunch, but nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did some Sackboy, played a little bit of Sackboy. Really still loving that game. A lot of fun. Really can't wait for the co-op so Genesis and I can jump in. And then I started up the Outer Worlds. I started that back up. I started that up on my next-gen system. The load times are still very prevalent, but they're much quicker. So I'm making way more progress in a way quicker amount of time, so it's been very nice. And just reminds me why I love that game so much. I just remember when that game came out and everybody was like, oh, the writing is so funny and the story's great and everything. The writing is really funny. The story is great so far. There's a lot of dialogue, but I'm having a blast. It's just annoying going from place to place because it's just loading screen after loading screen after loading screen. and on
Which we're not used to anymore.
Well,
I'm not that like, I'm kind of not used to them because I see them and I'm like, what are you doing here? What are you? But like Sackboy has loading screens for only like 2 or 3 seconds, but they have them. So, and it takes a second for Minecraft to load up. But yeah, no, it's weird sitting at like a 15-second loading screen, but it's much better than sitting at a 45-second loading screen than on PS4. So, it's just, there's still so many. I still have to go through 9 loading screens to do one mission when I really feel like that shouldn't be a thing, but whatever. But
yeah,
Giuseppe, what about you?
Well, first of all, again, congratulations on jumping back into that. I'm glad you're enjoying your time with Outer Worlds. But it is truly a shame that some of the functionality of the game just kind of gets in the way, and that's a shame. And hopefully, this next console generation will continue to push that out of the realm of the experience, and we will continue to just simply have more game and less baloney preventing us from game. For me, though, it's I've still been, cracking back into Warframe, playing a little bit here and there. I still have no idea what the heck I'm doing in there. I keep on playing. I keep running the same missions that I was familiar with prior to my long hiatus, and it's still a good time. Unfortunately, it seems like all of the Warframes that I've accumulated, a lot of them have been nerfed. Some of them have completely different power sets, or they work in different ways, and they're just not nearly as powerful as the newer ones that have come out in the past year or so. So that's a little frustrating, but I still enjoy the time because, again, it's still very action-packed and fever-pitched and so on and so forth. So, but really, I've not had a ton of time for games because, life. Awesome. So yeah, moving on. Who would like to get us kick-started with, this is episode 18?
18, yep.
Episode 18 for Crafting a Chat. Who would like to kick us off? Where's Genesis
I can kick us off.
Oh, well, go right ahead.
I'll kick us off. We usually end with Genesis's rumors.
That's true.
It's usually just between you and I, like who's going first. I'll go first. I don't know if everybody... What?
Kick real hard.
By the way, really quick...
I just wanted you to sit in that silence for a moment, yes?
Yeah. Really quick, your character model. That's an interesting configuration you have there.
Do you know who it is?
No, who is that?
Kessler.
Oh, it
from Infamous,
is.
Yeah, come on.
I'm
Cole.
My goodness.
Hello, Cole. Good times. So, yeah, no, I had Minecraft points. I've had like 1,200 Minecraft points for about like 2 years. I don't know how. I just had them. And it was like, hey, there's a pack for like 300 or 500 or whatever. And I was like, screw it. Because I remember that whole last week, my whole kerfuffle about the whole, I had that skin that Genesis hated.
Yes.
So I made that in 20 minutes because I couldn't find my tuxedo skin. And then the next time I logged onto Minecraft, that skin I made was gone and the tuxedo skin was back.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, okay, that was just 20 minutes of my life gone. So then I was like, all right, let me just look at the skins. I have money, like Minecraft money. Let me just buy one. And then I saw there was a PlayStation pack. Comes with Kratos and like the Last of Us characters from Last of Us 1. It's basically Ratchet and Clank. It's like the icons of like late gen PS4.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, I'm gonna choose that. So I chose that, and I was Cole for a few days, and then I saw Kessler, and I was like, well, a real fan would be Kessler, because you get it.
Well, I'm happy that you got it.
Yeah, I like it. I might change it to Ellie or Joel, or I might change it up each week, but I think I'm going to stick with Kessler as my main. But
like it.
We shall see. But anyways, my topic for the week is did everybody see the internal document, or any stories about the internal document that explained how activities became a cornerstone for the PlayStation 5?
No, I did not, unfortunately.
Genesis,
No,
did
I
you
have
see that
not.
document? Oh my god, you call yourself gamers, get out of here. No. This broke a few days ago. It might have been like a day ago or 2 days ago. But it broke. And are you both familiar with activities on PlayStation 5? Genesis, you might be. I don't know if Giuseppe is.
Not precisely.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the activity cards basically just tell you what I believe your friends are up to, what you've been up to, your trophies, things that you're doing in the game right now, things that can be done with the game. I think is that the correct
Those are just
terminology I'm
cards
looking
in
at?
general, not the activity
Oh,
cards. So the
okay.
activity cards are where if you watch the UI video, Giuseppe, I don't think you watched that UI video, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay, so there's a UI video, and Sid Schumann is playing Sackboy, and it tells him like, "Hey, if you do this mission, it'll take you 15 minutes." So you go to do the mission, and then he knows exactly how
Oh,
long it'll take.
oh yeah,
Also,
yeah, yeah. That card.
it's used a
Okay.
lot in Astro, which I can't get enough of. I've talked highly of it. I've been thinking about going
People
back
are,
to that because
yeah, people are
got a
comparing that
kick.
to the latest Mario game, but like that's actually really, really good. And I
Yeah,
was like,
it's real
wow,
good.
good
It's a
for
good
them.
platform.
Good for them.
But the activities in Astro, you can literally, if you go to your Astro, like your hub, like in the activity, the cards for Astro, you see the activities, and you can literally from the home screen just jump into one level or one part of a level because it's broken down into such a way where certain PS5 games create these activity cards where if you don't have a lot of time to play. Like, you just want to get into the level that you want to play. So if I just want to play GPU Jungle real quick, I can open up the activities for Astro, see GPU Jungle, and just jump right in. It's like launching the game in that level immediately. And it's a neat idea. And it's still in like a not a beta phase, but it's interesting how it works because not every game is supporting it in the beginning here. Astro is the biggest one so far. Sackboy, it does it where you can after you complete a level, you see like, hey, you jump to this level. This level might take you 20 minutes. If you're going for everything, it might take you 45. Like it gives you an estimated time. And I remember some years ago where single player games were dying, according to some big wig CEOs. They
They
were
were
saying that
wrong, but yes, they were
they
saying
were
it.
wrong, but they were saying that they were dying. But according to Sony and their internal documentation, they found that single player games are the biggest thing. That's why their first parties invest mostly in single player games. Because every time they see like information, they see people hopping on for only like 20 minutes because they have lives. Like Sony has done this internal review of like these people have kids or families or jobs or other obligations and they only have a few minutes to spare here and there. What if we create these activity cards for like these small sections of gameplay? And I want to know the general thoughts you guys have on that. And I'm going to start with you, Genesis, but I'm going to ask you a question real quick. So you better be paying attention.
I'm
Don't look
paying
away.
attention.
You looked away. Thank you.
Look at me when I'm
Okay,
talking to you.
Genesis.
Uh huh.
You sound so scared, like I'm quizzing you. Don't worry, that comes next week. Get excited. When you play games, do you ever just want to play for 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah, sometimes I actually do. Especially like maybe if I'm going to work a little later in the afternoon. I'd be like, I'm up and it's let's say I work at 2 p.m. and I'm sitting there at like 12:30 and I'm like, I can't get through a lot, but if I could go on and maybe play like maybe a level or two, that's why usually I'll boot up a multiplayer game and play like a match. But there are times when I've wanted to last night I was playing a single player game and I'm like, oh, I am at that one part. I think it's only going to take me like 20 minutes, but I don't know. If an activity card told me, hey, this part's going to take you 15 minutes. You can jump right to this part, and then once you're done, quit right out. I'd be like, you know what? I'm just going to jump into that and just set up a multiplayer match because the time and frustration, and then sometimes the sorrow that you have to endure after playing a multiplayer match. I think I'd rather just do single player sometimes. Like I don't know, a quick chapter like Spider-Man. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask you the same question, Giuseppe. If you remember it,
Yo, I
please just
remember.
answer.
The answer is definitely no.
Okay.
When I sit down and game, I have time dedicated for it. If I don't have time for it, chances are it's because I have to do chores, I have to do this, I have to go to work, I have to do that, blah 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 blah. So the time that I come here and I sit to game, it's dedicated time for it. So it's not something that I feel the need that these activity cards would really benefit me in a particular way. But I could see how if I had kind of like an off night, like Genesis, like if I were like running into your situation with multiple like multiplayer games, maybe I wasn't having a good stretch. Like for instance, maybe I'm getting back into Uncharted 4 multiplayer, and I'm doing so great, but every team I get thrown into with randoms, we're losing, we're getting crushed. It doesn't matter, and I'm not getting any enjoyment out of it, and I'm getting frustrated.
Like last night.
So I just throw it. I just shut that off, and I'm like, look, I'm tired, but I don't want to end the evening on that frustration note. But I know I'm tired just enough that I need something else before I turn in for the evening. And maybe I would crack into that activity and say, yeah, well, what can I do really quick that I can just, end the evening on a positive note and go to bed not frustrated, ready to, murder people in my dreams. And that would be an interesting concept. But yeah, dedicated time for me.
Okay. All right. So I'm somewhere in the middle of you two, where I get what Genesis is saying about like it's mostly with multiplayer games. Yeah. Sometimes I think about just starting up Ghost, playing one multiplayer, just one raid, not raid, one of the what are they called? Why am I forgetting the name of those?
They're just sessions. I mean, you just call them sessions. They're just
Well, yeah, well, they're called something. Where we're defending
survival match or survival session. God, what are
Why?
they
Why?
called?
I don't know. Oh, that was weird. Anyways,
Yeah,
you
it's
think about
survival
that.
session. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think about jumping in with single player games. I never think like, oh, I only want to spend like 20 minutes doing something. I only want to spend a half hour. But honestly, with PlayStation 5, I've been doing that with Sackboy. Because as much as I like Sackboy, it doesn't hold my attention for 2 hours. Like, I jumped
can
into
see that.
Sackboy, and I'm like, okay, I see the activity card, and it's like, hey, do this level next. This is next in your thing. And I don't even know if it says the time. It just says it's next. And I click it, and then it's like, put the game disc in. I'm like, ah, crap. So then I get up, put the game disc in. It launches right into the level, and then I'm there. And then I play it, and then I get out of that, and I'm like, oh, I'm already here. Let me do one more level. Well, I'm already here. Let me do one more. And I ended up doing like 2 or 3, and those levels are pretty short, especially the way I play games. So I'm out in 40 minutes or so, and then I'm playing something else. So activity cards, I wouldn't think were for me, because on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, 360 when I had one, GameCube, it would take so long to boot up a game that I couldn't even think of just starting, hell, even just starting like Horizon on PlayStation 4. To load up that world takes a minute and a half, and then to fast travel to where you want to go, and then to do a mission, it's like, okay, where's this mission? If there's an activity card for Horizon mission, and I'm like, oh, I should probably go to sleep, I can stay on for a half hour. What do I want to play? I end up just not playing nothing, but still talk to you guys for a half hour. But now, I can just start up an activity card, jump into a game, play for 20, 30 minutes, and be like, all right, well, this is what time I wanted to go to sleep at, so I'm getting off. So it's been really nice for me. But Giuseppe, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Is it loading times that are causing an issue? Is there any games where you're like, I would play that, but the time it takes to get into it, or is it more like you just want a few hour session with every game you play?
I would say, generally speaking, if there is any kind of game that I take in an a la carte kind of way, like every 5, 10, 15 minutes here and there, it's usually like strictly mobile stuff that I play around with. But if I sit down to a console to enjoy my nice television, it's always going to be dedicated time for it. Like, I just don't see myself, and quite frankly, I've never really done that. Even going all the way back to like my Nest days, if it's going on, it's going on and staying on for a good amount of time, before somebody else either forces me off or something. Oh my gosh, we gotta go run and do something, and then they'll shut it off. But no, when I sit down, it's game time, because I just don't have as many micro bursts of time to go ahead and spend it. And even if I did, I don't think I would enjoy it as much, because I don't like things that break the immersion. And usually it doesn't take much for me to get into it, really sink my teeth into it. I usually, and that's it is for with movies, TV shows, at least good stuff. Like, once it's on, I'm there. I'm out. I blocked everything else out. I'm in it. And same thing with games. And but the one thing that would certainly break it would be if I had to just suddenly stop, because there's just not enough time. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, Genesis, you said that like you could use these because you do have those microbursts of time, and then you're pulled into something else.
I just even thought too, when my kid gets here, I'm gonna have even more microbursts of time. I'm really not gonna have. Yeah, those activity cards even make more sense for me, especially when my child comes here. I mean, a lot of my attention is going to go towards the kid, and I have maybe 10, 20 minutes to sit on. Oh, I can hop on, do a level, and shut it right off. At least I played a little bit of games for the day, and it is what it is at that point. That, I think, is even more invaluable to me when it comes to just that aspect alone.
I definitely see how that is a very, very interesting innovation by Sony. And I can definitely see it being super valuable and useful to a lot of different people. I think it's a great idea, and I think for those that can get to use out of it, awesome. Thumbs up from me.
I think it's a great idea in practice, and it's helped a lot. Like I've already said, like I used it for Sackboy. Not a lot of games use it currently. We're still at the beginning of the generation, so not a lot of games will use it. Maybe in the next year. It would be nice. My dream is Cyberpunk comes out, and it's like, hey, this game is huge. You want to do this mission? It's only going to take you 20 minutes. And that will pull me in. Like, it's the activity cards I see are being as like a catalyst for me. Like, hey, you want to do this, but you don't know what you want to do? Look at all these side missions. Because in the game, it doesn't tell you, like, hey, this side mission's going to take you 20 minutes, this side mission's going to take you an hour and a half. Right. That was a common problem that people had with The Witcher 3.
Oh, yeah.
Or they're like, oh, I have to get off soon. I'll do one more mission. And then you start a mission, and you're halfway through it, and you're like, well, I got to get off. I got to get up for work. Then you get off. You get up for work. You work a whole day. You come back. You got 6 hours to play video games. You start it up, and you're like, where am I? What am I doing? So that I could see totally working for me. And also, the amount of trophy hunting that sounds so great. For when I first saw this thing, I immediately thought, "Oh, that's gonna blow away like everybody's like." It's gonna create more trophy hunters. Because Giuseppe, as much as you complain about Vampire, if you only have to play that game for a half-hour increments, you could just easily, like, if you were dedicated for trophies, you could easily just look at that and be like, okay, I could do this and this in 30 minutes. I'll jump in there, and then when I don't want to play anymore, I've done my work. And it would be nice if, like, the Forest would update, because then it could say, hey, you're this close on the trophy, but if you have 15 minutes, you can play and another day will pass, and you'll be that much closer to the trophy. I just want more statistics. But my question mainly about this topic, in some way, does this ruin video games and make them more mobile? Do we want video games to trend towards smaller activities, or is this only good?
So, yes, I can definitely see the argument being made that it can turn it into micromanaging your play sessions, and that does not sound very appealing at all. It does seem that in an effort to gamify games, you actually start turning them into chores. And
Mm-hmm.
again, like as much as I just right now complimented this system, the one thing that could basically turn it on its head is if it suddenly becomes a bit invasive. And I'm sure that that's something that the player can control through the UI and what have you, but if it becomes invasive, it becomes a distraction. It breaks the experience. Now that might not be as much of a big deal for some players than it is for me, but that's definitely yeah, that's an ick situation. I don't particularly care for it. So
Genesis, you have any thoughts on that?
For me, I don't really think it matters to me, honestly speaking. It doesn't hurt me much, especially when it's up to me to do all that anyway. So like, if I know I'm going to sit there for 4 hours and play something, I'm going to sit there for 4 hours and play something. If I know I only have 20 minutes, I just boot up the activity card and I start it up. I mean, for me, I don't think it makes it more of a mobile type of game because as long as it's left to the player's choice of what they want to do and how they want to pursue this, it's just another way for people to game who don't have that much time. So it doesn't, for me, it doesn't necessarily make it more mobile than or it leads us to a future where it's more mobile. I mean, unless developers decide to say, okay, here's how side missions are going to go, and this is the only way they're going to go. Which I don't think that's going to happen because that doesn't seem very productive.
Yeah.
That seems counterproductive at that point.
of
I
course. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, of course, what the answer to all of these situations are is
Why?
save states. Save states for current games. Again, the way that you see in ROM emulators, uh, you save that
Series X?
exact. Yeah, you say. Well, does Series X does that do?
Up to the last 3 games you were playing, it does
Quick
save
resume.
states.
Really?
Yeah.
So it saves the exact instant you left that game, and you can
Yes.
go right back to that. See,
Yeah, you can pop out a disc, play another game, it saves it for the last 3.
so that's a pretty valuable thing. If there were an expansion to that kind of system, we wouldn't have any issues regarding the time anyone has at any one particular moment in order to play any game. Of course, multiplayer games wouldn't count, but like for all your single player games, regardless of how long the mission is or how in depth it is, however much real time you have will never be a limitation on your session. But that would be the easiest solution, but again, not probably an easy thing to just toss on there.
So there's a rumor that since we have the what is it, the switcher, we have a button on our game hub called the switcher. It's just like an icon. You could switch to your most recently played games, and people think that Sony can like update through a patch. State like the same thing as the quick resume that Microsoft has. But that is the one advantage a lot of people were saying. A lot of like reviewers of like the next gen consoles were like, yeah, this is really nice. Like constantly having like 3 games just always be in there. Like that's great. My thing with that is a lot of the games I play are open world games, and where I quit is mostly where I load up or really close to it. Like in the middle of a
Yeah.
mission, because you can just kind of save and quit wherever. There's not a lot of games now that I play, except like maybe like an Uncharted, where I'm just
I think I'd have to
I
agree
can't
with
just
that.
quit in the middle of the level.
Even Spider-Man started you up right where you fell. Like if you landed
Yeah.
somewhere, you'd start up right in the ground, right there where you would land. If you
something
were
like-
falling and had to quit or
Most
something.
games.
Well,
Yeah,
something like
most
a
open
from
world games.
something like a From
that.
Software situation, though, that could be
Yeah.
actually really, really valuable. Like any
But
From
would-
Software game.
That could decrease like the challenge of the game, though.
Well, I mean, yes, it could, but at the same time, though, it really falls to the developer what they want. And obviously, From Software has a very,
True.
very dedicated following, and they have a very particular way they want to make their games. And my guess is, even if this kind of a function were available for the PS5, my guess is they would choose not to employ that with their software, because the half of the challenge for all of their games is level navigation, and a save state situation definitely definitely knocks that out, and then all that you're left with basically are the boss encounters. It would be great if more games did it. Like Adam, your example of Uncharted, that was perfect. That's definitely the perfect kind of game that I would love to be able to employ with that. But some developers would be like, look, you know what? That's not what we want for this product. So sorry.
Yeah, the activity cards, I believe Demon Souls, the activity cards they have are just the 180 help videos that some people were complaining about when those came out, because it was like, why is it teaching people how to play the game? Like, that's so Demon Souls, like, get out of here.
YouTube.
How to play though? That
People can
gets
learn
more
how to
people
play.
Yeah,
on
I
YouTube.
don't. It's just simple. You don't have to use it. It's
Right,
also
yeah.
it's a PS Plus thing only. So yeah, the in-game help that is a feature that's added to Plus.
No kidding.
So if you're looking for the monk's robe and Sackboy because you can't see the top half of your screen, then that's in the UI video.
Well, some people got first world problems. They got TVs that flicker, and they just bought them, and they're OLEDs, and they need to get new OLEDs and things like that.
That's true. You're right. But let me play a pessimist here for a moment. What if developers, say Sony, they're looking at their statistics and they see people are only getting the trophies and really only playing the missions that last 20 minutes, and they start to change gaming? Would you be okay with that, or would you be like, it depends on the game?
It depends on the game. It depends on the game, I think.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that would not be a good trend. If Sony's going to take that information and then start to actually create product based on trends and not on what, like, the fiction of the game demands. Again, so we're still talking about single player games here. We're not talking about multiplayer. So in single player narrative driven games, there's a certain amount of presentation that's involved with it, and whether it's something that's more action oriented like a God of War, or something that's more of an RPG, there's a certain amount of flow, of rhythm to it, and you want to give the player that kind of an experience in order to get into that fiction. If suddenly Sony takes all of this statistical data and they're like, hey, we just want to simply cater to our market even more with all of this information, and we want to basically make games strictly a whole long chain of 20-minute vignettes that they can enjoy, because that's what the data says. And I'm like, if that's the case, that's going to turn into a very boring game, B, a formulaic game, and C, it's going to break immersion. It's going to turn really good narrative-driven single-player gaming experiences into mobile slush, and I don't like that. It's great to take the information and use it for some interesting observations and different ways to employ, like, smaller aspects of game project development. But it should not ever, ever, ever be used to dictate the overall philosophy for the next project, especially if it's a single-player focused game.
I agree with that. And like I said, I don't think game developers will ever make games like that, because game developers make the games they want to play most of the time.
True.
Like they're not gonna do that. But Genesis, the last thing I want to talk about is something that you do that you're gonna know immediately right away what I'm talking about. It has to do with open world games, and you do every side quest before the main mission.
Yep.
Where are you right now? Are you in the kitchen?
No, I'm here. Why?
Oh, you just cut out a little bit there for me. I don't know if it did
sorry.
for you.
Yeah, a little
Steffi.
bit. A little bit.
All right. But anyways, so you play all the side missions and stuff before you start the main mission.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
You are correct.
for you, Would you want to have activities only for side stuff and not for the main mission? So you could see
So
exactly what you have to do before you can jump into that main mission?
yes, I was actually going to mention, and it's very odd how you came up with that, as I was going to mention something like that, because if developers, let's say okay, so I'm going to put a little spin on what you mentioned earlier. Let's say developers see the data, right? And they don't necessarily just make the entire game 20-minute sessions of the activity cards that you go in and you play, right? They still have a narrative-driven story that if you, let's say they have the new God of War, right? And you have the narrative-driven story, but you know how like the Trials of Niflheim, what are the other trials? I can't remember that one just stuck out to me because of the name. Yeah. What if those trials were those 20-minute segments, and the actual game itself was the narrative game that you would play normally? If they did that kind of dynamic split, where hey, you only got 20 minutes, you're about 35% in the story, this activity card pops up and it says, hey, do this trial, which will only take 15 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I only got like 30 minutes. I guess I'll do this one and call it a day. I think if they made that divide a little bit, like made specific gaming elements about 20 to 15 minute segments, and then you still got your narrative game when you have the time and you want to sit there and you want to play for like 4 or 5 hours and immerse yourself in a game. If they see that kind of data and they're like, yeah, we could do that. That'll actually appeal to more people, and that'll get a lot more people to buy the game because of like, I actually have that kind of lifestyle. I have one day that's dedicated where I can play, and the rest of the time I'll be on at 10 p.m. in the night, and I'll be like, all right, now I have to go to sleep in half an hour because I got to get back up in the morning at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever, and here's my 20-minute, 30-minute segment that I'm going to do. I think that'd be cool. I complete the side missions because this is how I play. But if they gave me a system where all my side missions appeared on cards and said, pick your choice, I mean, whatever your 15, 20-minute side mission is, I'd be like, done. I get to move on to the next thing in the story now because that's just how I am. I can't move on in the story otherwise.
And that is definitely super, super good. The only problem with that, though, is that games will certainly start putting up the signal flare for side quests and side missions being bloatware, because the best side missions are the ones that actually tie into the narrative to give your story, your characters, the situation more depth. If your side missions are just 20-minute schlock sessions that you're just there for action and going through the ropes or grinding, oh, that's no bueno. That's
they can be both.
It can be, but if it starts doing that, it's going to draw attention to the non-value of the side quest. You know what I mean? Again, it's possible. I'm not saying that it will, but if that's the thing that they're going to say, it's like, look, we're going to have these activity cards for just these side missions. Like, for instance, the Assassin's Creed games. Assassin's Creed games,
just gonna say that.
all just rife with all kinds of side quests. Most of which, again, I haven't played one in a while, but most of the ones that I remember were very, very like disconnected from the main story, the main narrative.
They didn't matter. They were just
they were irrelevant.
time-wasting side missions.
Yeah, it was just grinding, just level grinding, and that's fine. Whatever,
no,
it's fine.
100%. I've played them, and they are. You're correct.
So and that's fine maybe for that style of game, but for instance, like let's bring it back to The Witcher. Some of the side quests in that game, and again, because the time variance to complete certain side quests versus main quests, it's all over the board. It could be 5 minutes, it could be an hour. Who knows? Depends on your style of play and how good you are, and then the game itself. Some of those side quests are just so interesting because they reveal things about Geralt or the characters that he interacts with, or something that's really important that's looming for the narrative. Like some of those side quests are even more interesting than some of the main quests, and you want to be able to give that time to not only see that little side quest through to the end, but also it's going to entice you to want to play into the main quest because you just learned this new little thing and now you want to go see it through to the end. That's some of the best kind of side questing in game development. And if you're really being directed by, the activity card to say, look, you have A, B, C, and X, Y, Z, and you'll be able to do it in this amount of time, then you're thinking about, okay, well, I just want to be the completionist here and just be efficient with time, and now you're just punching a clock to play games. That's the other side of the equation.
It's a fine line, and we could probably talk about this for the next couple hours, honestly. But
it's
quick
a good
update
topic. It's a good topic.
It is. Thank you. For a quick update for Demon Souls, you can warp between worlds in the activity cards. So if you need to get from one world to another, you could quickly just warp. Even though I don't believe there's even a fast travel system in that game.
Of using that. That's actually pretty cool.
And then in Miles Morales, you could jump straight into a story mission or side quest instead of swinging from city to city, or like swinging across the city. So you could basically just turn that into like a narrative-focused single-player game, jumping from mission to mission instead of having the open world.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool, and I would love that for an Assassin's Creed, because running 800 meters to go talk to some other dude sucks. But Sony, in their...
just burn the game to the ground. I mean, nobody has to play it.
Again, nope, we're not getting into that. Sony, on their internal doc, they have a quote here that I want to read. But
Okay.
I want to make one more comparison of this. I kind of consider it like Netflix when it says, like, what they suggest you watch next.
Mm-hmm.
And it's similar to that because with Sony's quote, they say, we can change should I start playing to which part should I start playing. And that's what I used as my example for Sackboy. Like, I don't know which one to start playing because I have a few levels open. This one only takes 20 minutes. Let me jump in. I did it quicker. Let me jump into the next one. Let me jump into the next one. So I could see this really picking up and being something great. But my topic is over. And I want to talk about the price of games.
Awesome. Well, it's a great desire that you have there. I can hopefully comply with that. Because
What?
that happens. Because
That's crazy.
it is. It's funny how that works, right? Because that happens to be my topic. What a coincidence. It's a happy accident. Anywho, so I may or may not have been influenced by one of the most recent Jim Sterling videos where he goes on and on, reiterating a lot of his own personal philosophies regarding the price of games. And he put up another one recently, and it's a new video, but it's really nothing new that he says about it. Some of the things he talks about, I agree with. Some of the things I don't, because obviously a lot of the arguments that he makes is he's really going for substance with a healthy amount of gross humor. Just like very, very caustic, very vulgar, and that's cool. That's cool for his brand and everything. But it is an interesting topic to talk about the cost of video games, because for some odd reason the camp for gamers is really fairly split down the middle when it comes to those who are just very eager to see games stay as low cost to the gamer as possible, and there are others who really go out of their way to almost be apologists for the corporations to say no, they're totally justified in charging us an arm and a leg and then asking us for our toes and our feet afterwards with DLC and microtransactions after the fact, because games are expensive. And games cost, and they need to make their money. And if they don't make their money, we're not going to have any games. So it's an interesting thing to consider. I don't understand why why anybody sees it trying to like see it from the corporation's perspective. Because again, unless you're working for the corporation, I don't see what benefit that is to you. Granted, yes, okay. If these companies didn't make money off of game development, they would go find another activity to make money off of. That company wouldn't exist, and they'd go do it. But this is the thing. The fact of the matter is the industry does exist, has existed for a number of years, and it continues to grow and expand. So they're going to, if they're not going to be the ones to make the money off of whatever kind of game development, whatever their level of ambition or their focus for game development will be, if they don't want to do it, somebody else will. So that's kind of like the first thing I want to address when it comes to like, well, if these game companies don't make their money, they're not going to be able to make us games anymore. Somebody will step up and make the games. So for everyone out there who's concerned, deeply concerned, that your Activisions, that your EAs, that your Ubisofts are somehow going to go to the poorhouse because they're not making enough profit percentage off games, relax. Just pump the brakes on that. Pump the brakes. That's not a problem. Another thing that I like to talk about, at least draw attention to, when it comes to the cost of video games, is that everyone really needs to understand that publishers have all the power. Publishers have power over developers. Publishers have a power over distribution through retailers. And obviously, the publishers have all the power over consumers. They set the prices. They set the MSRP. They dictate volume. They make exclusivity deals with certain business partners for whatever else they want to tie in. They control everything. And they also control the price points. Your collector's editions, your gold editions, your platinum editions, your diamond editions, DLC, microtransactions, expansions, cosmetic things. They set all of those prices. And it's not based on some kind of magical, mystical algorithm that has suddenly manifested into this just amazing observation that this generation layover from PS4 to PS5, this is the generation that finally has dictated a $10 price hike for new software games. No, it's arbitrary. It's arbitrary. And that money is not going into better or enhanced or more efficient or more creative game development. It's going into profit margins. It's giving the publishers a greater piece of the pie when you buy at a higher price point for base level software. And the funny thing is, there are others at the same time who made the argument in defense of corporations to say, hey, look, if they charge me a little bit more for the game up front, and they don't get so invasive and pervasive with their microtransactions, or they don't get so shameless with chopping up the base game and delivering it to me a la carte, then you know what? I'll pay a little bit more to get a better, complete experience right out of the gate, and you don't have to wait for it, and I don't have to, I don't have to be nickel and dimed to get everything that I thought that I paid for. The problem with that is that even with this new increased price point, publishers are still going to dictate to those developers to chop up their game, give it to us in a la carte vignettes, and find ways to monetize. So, again, the increase to the cost of software is not something that it's just something that needs to happen. It needs to happen because that's just the way of things. No, it doesn't need to happen because that's just the way of things. It's because the publishers dictate it to be so. Another argument to be made regarding the cost of the price of games is the cost of development. That's another one that obviously most of the defenders love to talk about, and that is definitely a consideration. I mean, the budgets for some of the biggest, most anticipated AAA games exceed the biggest of Hollywood blockbuster films. I mean, for goodness sake, how much did it cost to make GTA 5? One of the most expensive games to be developed. A lot of money and a lot of time, and that game made a lot of money, being released multiple times on multiple gen systems, and obviously GTA Online and the shark cards. Oh my goodness, it's just like a license to print money for Rockstar Games. They have themselves a nice diaper dandy. But regardless of the cost that it took to develop that game, that is still yet another thing that the publishers have absolute control over. Again, and this is them lording control over developers in the publishing deals that they set, in the budgets that they set for developers. You know what I mean? If they want to hire Hollywood actors to be their voiceover work, if they want to use their likenesses, do body scans, mocap, do all these things, yes, absolutely, that you're talking about a lot of expensive technology that's being used in the development of games, and you put all those things together, yeah, there's a considerable cost to your development right there. Do you need it? Depends on the game. Depends on your ambition. And it's not necessary. It's not necessary for every game to have that level of ambition. And it seems like almost like a false equivalency that we all expect new games from every publisher, from every developer, to be aiming that high with the level of visual fidelity, audio fidelity, narrative experience, action, gameplay, so on and so forth. Yeah, I mean, it would be great if everything that got released was an awesome game, but we know that's not true. We know there are a lot of duds, if not more duds than there are winners and absolute diamonds in the rough. So publishers, again, they have control over the cost of development. They don't need to hire Troy Baker. I mean, I don't even know how much he charges for voiceover work, but chances are he's at the top end. You know, he's your Tom Hanks, you know, pay me $20 million plus per film, or The Rock, he makes what, $30 million plus per film. You get them, and they command a certain amount of salary, and that's a big chunk of your budget for just one voiceover performer for one character. Is there a better way to distribute the budget for your game development for one project? Yeah, chances are there are. It's up to the publishers to make that happen, though. And if they wanted to, it can be done. It just seems that it's at least from the publisher's perspective, it seems like that's being used as an excuse to raise the price of games, and not just the price of games, but to make, you know, the monetization after the fact, after your initial price of admission, that much more pervasive, that much more, you know, predatory, and it doesn't. That's not right. That should not be. So, so let me put a couple questions. That was a little bit of my diatribe to intro this little topic. So let me put a couple questions out to the panel. Do either of you feel comfortable paying $70 for a base level AAA game right now?
It depends on who's making it. It depends on what type of game, I think. If it was a base level... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, let's presume it's a game that you're anticipating. It's one that you want. It's one that many people want. But it is a base level game. And let's also go ahead and presume, because it's one of these big anticipated games, there are going to be collector's editions and what have you that will be more expensive than the $70 price point. But that increase to the $10 that we've been used to basically since like the mid '90s, that's also going to reflect in the ultra deluxe editions by, you know, a certain scale, but, you know, not ridiculous.
It's a first party game?
Sure. Well, we'll say that it's a first party game. Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Adam?
Same. I'm eating a Pop-Tart.
Gotcha. Same. What if it's not? What if it's
if it's a third party?
Third party.
Depends on the game, really.
Yeah, it really depends on that. If it's a specific third party, yes. If it's from Ubisoft, no.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting observation that you make there. So, you obviously a lot of people's reactions to this kind of question would be it really depends on the game because otherwise, eh, everybody, if we could, we buy all the games, but we don't buy all the games not just because we don't have the money, but also because we're not interested in every game.
Even if I had the money, I wouldn't buy all those games.
Well, right, yeah. So the question
I
now
would.
from
You
If
would?
I was stupid rich, if I was stupid rich, I could just be like, "Hey, I got this game." Then you guys could be like, "Hey, can I borrow that game?" I'd be like, "Yeah."
Sure. So an extension of that, should the $70 price point for games, should that be standard for all new games being released on consoles?
No.
No.
It shouldn't be standard for every single game because, again, it really depends on the game itself. If it's a first-party game, so I'll give a couple examples out there. If it is a first-party game, such as God of War, Uncharted, Ghost, like a Sony title, yes, because those games continuously prove that they can keep breaking barriers going forward and create these games that we look back on and we're like, wow, that was a crazy game. That was amazing. For people like EA, Ubisoft, Activision,
2K?
2K, yeah. Those games, they shouldn't be $70. $60 was even more than enough. I think a lot of those should be 50. They just don't hold that same, I don't want to say cinematic, but like that same value of gameplay, of just remembrance of that game. Like when I look back on my experience in, let's say, God of War, because I'm looking at the box right now here. That game, Adam and I were playing. Adam was watching me play that, and by the end, I gave him the line of like, I can't wait to play this with my own son and have like this experience over again. I am so excited to remember a lot of those things in that game, and can't wait to see what next is going to come from them. Now, is it possible that some of these first parties mess up a game? Absolutely, it's possible.
Order
They're not going to get. I don't
1886.
think they can get it. I'm sorry.
The Order 1886.
I like
Sure.
that.
I mean, that was a very good game. Yes, it was too short. It was a
Looked
good
great,
cinematic
but-
masterpiece.
yeah.
I think it looked nice, but
pretty.
it's very pretty. But yeah, it was too short. Would that game be considered a $70 game? No, that probably is at the $30 or $25 range at that point. I think.
Well,
even
it was
that is
full
pushing
price
a
when
lot.
it came out.
It was full price.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
And like I said, they can't get it perfect every time. But you know what? For the track record of those particular first party, and I do mean first party like just Sony first party, since Microsoft doesn't have any first party at this point in time right now, and then Nintendo's, they don't even deserve to have any full price games at $60 for what garbage they put up, but that's a different discussion. I avoid commenting on those because I'm like, that's not, those should be $20, $30 games for what they're re-releasing 17 times in a row. Then there are exceptions to the third-party rule. So, like, for me, and I think this comes down to what you play and what you prefer. So, like, if Square Enix has a game out, and it depends on what they're putting out, I'll pay so many bucks for those. Certain ones I'm not gonna, and then there's certain that I will, like Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy. I'll pay 70 bucks for those. But the other games that I really don't care about, like Tomb Raider and and Avengers and things like that, I'm not going to pay 70 bucks for that. No, I don't think. It really depends on what you... This comes down to a lot of opinion and what your likes and dislikes are when it comes to like what third parties should be able to charge for $70 games. Some people say, what's a third party now again? I'm thinking of like Persona, the Atlas games. I think that relates to you more, Giuseppe. That would be something maybe you'd say, okay, they have this fully loaded Persona, no re-release or anything like that, and it's a $70 game. What would you say to that?
I would.
So they're not doing a Royale Edition or
Right,
Ultimate
yeah.
or Ultra Edition or whatever.
I mean, I'd consider it, but I mean, I initially be turned off by it because I'm still, I don't like the idea of having to pay $70 for a game, especially when I know, especially with those games, with those Persona games, that there will eventually be Game of the Year editions, complete editions, deluxe editions that have all your DLC wrapped up that will eventually be released for cheaper. The only thing that holds me back from pulling the trigger, or in fact pulling the trigger, is my degree of FOMO when it comes to new games. And I think that is another thing that needs to be considered when it comes to these initial price points for new software.
Well, let's take out the whole edition stuff out of it. Like, okay, let's say they say, okay, it's we're not doing any Royal Edition, Deluxe
Well,
Edition.
what about just the next
whatever.
Uncharted game? You wouldn't pay $70 for it? You'd wait?
I would wait. $70 is an awful lot of money. $60 is an awful lot of money. I mean, again, and maybe that's just focused on me being in my particular situation in life currently, but $70, man, that's no, $70 plus tax. I mean, that's yikes. That's an awful lot for one game, and this is the thing. The reason I'm hesitant to pull the trigger on something like that is because I know that sales are inevitable. I know that better deals for the same software are right around the bend, and until these first-party developers say, like, basically, if they start doing what Nintendo does when it comes to a mandible claw-like control over the pricing of their software, regardless of who's selling it, I'm not going to fall prey to, like, oh man, I just got to get a day one because it's just too expensive. It's no longer in my particular entertainment budget for the funds available. It's gotten way too expensive to be a frivolous buy. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you something real quick. Or Adam, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. That's fine. Do you buy collector's editions ever?
There once was a time that I did, but I have since stopped. I think the last collector's edition I got was Uncharted 4. Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't buy FF7 Remakes Collector's Edition? That's odd.
The last collector's edition I got was Last of Us 2, and I'm pretty sure Genesis, the last one you got was Ghost of Tsushima, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so we still actively buy collector's editions, and we're okay with the gaming price going up. I really think it depends on every game. I don't think it's depends on the publisher. Like, sure, Sony first-party games, if I look at the game like Days Gone, I wouldn't pay $70 for that. I didn't even pay $60. I paid $30.
There was a collector's edition for that
There's
one,
a
too.
sweet
You didn't buy
spot.
the collector's
I did
edition.
not. I would never. When I see a game, I usually know after the first trailer or the gameplay, I know if I like that game or not. I usually have an idea because I've played games for, I don't even know, 20 years of my life at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I kind of
You would
understand.
know, yeah. You kind
And-
You would know,
guess
but
what it
would
is.
you know then that it would be a day one buy? Not necessarily.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
would.
do. You would know.
I do. Every time I see a game, I'm like, do I want that day one? Yes. No. Yes. No. Horizon, first time I saw that, I was like, day one. When I saw the new Assassin's Creed, I'm like, I like the... Sorry, Genesis, calm down. Oh, I'm like, I like the city stuff, how you could build the town. And I was like, do I want that day one? The answer is still no, but will I be okay with paying a little bit more for it than I paid for the previous Assassin's Creed? The answer was yes. But then more information came out about that game, and now I don't even know if I want it, even though there are some cool things about it. I'm still teetering, but it will probably convince me one day to pick that game up for $30 with the season pass. Like, when it's on sale for $30 with the season pass, that's probably what I'm going to get it for. Every other game, I usually have an idea.
Like sale prices. Does that not invalidate? Because, okay, so let me ask you, What is a game that you would spend, Giuseppe? What is a game that you would spend $70 on? Give me one game that you would.
Oh gosh.
Like, it doesn't matter. You have to get a day one, and you have to spend
Bloodborne
$70
2.
on it.
Well, Bloodborne 2 would definitely be that. But that's a very, very rare, exceptional thing. For me, okay, so this kind of like leads into the question that I was going to ask regarding how the price of a certain software can and should be more reflective of what you're actually getting, specifically when it comes to worth, right? Again, because we're talking about the subjectivity of the games, it's worth from the consumer angle. Whatever the game is, it's a question of worth. So for me, if I were to be convinced to spend $70 on a day one buy for a new software, the game would have to have an exceptional single player narrative campaign, not necessarily an open world, but it has to be a single player campaign experience that is in the 20 to 40 hour range. That's number one. Number two, it has to give me excellent incentive for replayability of that same main quest. Not in a laborious way, but in ways that expand upon the experience that you already went through and gives you new rewards, not just like little, power-ups at the end of your play sessions, but new nuances to gameplay or new ways to play. So replayability, that's number two. And then number three, it also has to have a robust multiplayer system that is expansive, that is going to be continuously supported and not be just dropped after a year or two. If a game were to hit all of those things, I could be convinced to spend $70 day one. Problem is, most games do not hit all those points. In fact, I don't believe any of them do. Well, yeah, but that's not a real thing yet. But I'm just saying, in terms of like the archetype, I need a game basically to give me everything that I want in a game at the base level for a base price of $70. And I know I don't get that because that's not where the market is heading. The market continues to go towards this more vignette approach where you're only going to get portions of the game at your base level price point for new software, or whatever you get it when it goes on sale, and then the cost after the fact.
Let me use Bloodborne 2 as an example, though.
Okay.
If like your thought or your comment from before was, I know it's going to go on sale eventually, and that's great. Sale is always around the corner. If literally, and I'm just using that because that's just one game that I can think of at this point that you would spend $70 for. I know it's not a real thing. I understand that. If every other game you would be comfortable saying, the next sale's around the corner, it's going to be fine. I can just get it when it goes on sale. Wouldn't that then invalidate the whole $70 price point thing? Because it wouldn't matter what it came out for. If you're going to wait for the game at the sale point, it's always going to go down to a certain price. If you're not there to buy it day one, like Adam and I think when we see a game, we'll say, okay, that's either day one or later, right? For you, though, it's saying, okay, unless it fulfills or it checks all my boxes, I'm not going to get a day one. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it not matter what those games came out that price for? Like, at the end of the day, you'd still be getting it at a sale price. So, unless, because I've seen, like, for example, I'll use Resident Evil 3 because I think that's dropped the fastest in price that I've seen so far.
It's dropped pretty quick, yeah. It has.
When it came out, it was $60, right? But now, and this is maybe a year ago it came out. Am I correct, the timeline? A year ago?
I think so. This year. It's around there.
It didn't come out this year. It was the last year, right?
It was last year.
Okay. So, yeah, about a year and a half, probably. It's dropped to Black Friday being about $15, correct?
Right.
What did I honestly miss in that timeline of the 1.5 year? Not really. No. So does that not, like the sales that happen, because sales are always going to happen. That's just a part of the way the system works for economy and for them, for the developers and all that to say, okay, I'm going to get more of these copies of the games out there.
So long as physical copies are a thing. Once everything goes pure digital,
that's going to still be a thing.
I don't know, man. Really sales are going to dry up. They're not going to. I feel like because of the fact that the AAA industry does have a very wide physical distribution network through various retailers around the world, I think that's one of the main reasons why sales happen as frequently as they do and as soon after initial releases as they have been. Again, that was another thing that I talked about when we were talking about the next gen jump. And yes, you're absolutely right. I do agree with you. To an extent, it does invalidate the initial price point. Hell, they could charge $100 for games.
Yeah, and
Problem
it's
with
up to those
that,
people who buy it for 100, not
Well-
really, the normal consumer like you or myself.
yeah, but this is the thing.
I'd buy it.
And Adam, sorry. And Adam.
I'd buy God of War 2 for $100.
Oh God,
they're
that's a
like I
hard
said, they-
pass.
well,
That's
I
a
spent-
hard pass. Hard pass.
I'm getting the collector's edition.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I'll probably
that's the
pay
thing.
more,
I will
but
buy
just for the
collector's.
disc, I'll probably pay. I would, if it was just the disc, I would probably pay more than 100, honestly.
So like the collector's edition, so like for Final Fantasy VII Remake, the deluxe edition, I spent the 89 on that because that's the edition that I wanted. That had like the steel book, everything in there, and all that.
Had the
extra.
summons.
Just a collector's item stuff.
Right?
Stuff. The what?
Did it also had the summons, the ones that you can only
Yes.
get through that.
Yeah, the summons, the digital soundtrack, the physical soundtrack, steel book, art book, things like that. The collector's items that I wanted in there. For that, I'll spend the money. Same thing with Ghost. I got the big edition that had the mask in it and everything for
should've got
160. And I wanted that edition of that. I think I did the same thing. For most of the Sony first parties, I really go collector's edition. Otherwise, it's just the normal editions for the games, except for like Miles Morales. I only bought the normal one because there was no collectors. There was just a launch edition and ultimate edition, which had like Spider-Man remaster, which I didn't need.
Yep.
But
And I got that.
but the thing is like, at that point, I don't know. For me, the initial price point no longer matters because you're only going to get the people who want to buy it for that price, who need that day one, and then everybody else will just pick it up at a sale. So,
Well, the only problem with that is that ultimately that is going to impact sales numbers in a negative way because you're not going to be generating nearly as much hype for your initial wave. Which, by the way, your first weeks of a game's release, they're always going to be most indicative of how quote unquote successful a game is. Now, it could very well be that, a game is just so hugely popular and sustainable that it doesn't matter how long after the fact. Case in point, GTA 5. For goodness sake, people are still buying it on various platforms and they are sinking money into those shark cards. But that's a very, very rare exception to the rule. And it would be folly for all publishers to jump into that model and expect the same kind of like glorious results. My only counter to that situation is that why then can't we just simply have an expansion to collector's editions and whatnot in order to mitigate this quote unquote supposed cost increase or greed increase by the publishers to increase their profitability? Why not simply make more collector's editions, and basically in order to go after the whales, that will spend almost any amount of money on a software because it's that software and they know that they can take advantage of those certain situations.
I'm a whale both physically and in metaphor in this, I think. Because I'll pay whatever for certain games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm okay just
Infamous
throwing it out there. Yeah, Infamous. Oh, I don't even want to talk about how much I paid for that. Like, if I could, I would fund development.
Kickstarter.
for me, I would. I don't care what I would have to pay for KH4. I would give me Kingdom Hearts 4 right now. I'll take it.
Yeah, that's something that, I don't know, it's in some way shameful, because the corporations, they don't need it. Giuseppe's right with that. And is there a reason? Yeah, is there a reason every game should be $70? No. Was every game $60? No. Dreams was $40.
Most were, but
Most were,
Most were.
and
Yeah.
that model
But-
is going to continue moving forward.
but
You know what I mean?
yeah, but did everybody here buy every game day one, or did you wait
No,
even
no.
at 60?
No, a
You're-
lot of
like
no.
for me, this changes almost nothing because I buy 3 or 4 games a year. Oh, I have to pay 30 or 40 more.
Throughout
Okay,
the year, that really doesn't make a difference. throughout
for
the
me,
entire
no,
year?
it doesn't. I don't. But I also don't buy like half completed microtransaction laden games. So I don't. That part of the argument, I don't like. I don't have an opinion on because I'm just not there for that. I paid full price for GTA 5 back on the PS3, $59.99, and then they gave me the PS4 copy for free. I think, right? Or did we have to pay for that?
You had to pay for that one, I think.
Yeah,
That's probably one of the reasons I don't own it. Pretty sure we ended up getting it for free because I think I own it on PS4, but I don't play it. But
I only bought it on PS4. I never bought it on PS3. But didn't they
PS3,
say we're
baby,
going to
got
get the
that
PS5 versions for free?
Yeah, it's next year. It's coming out.
The real test of this particular issue regarding the whole, if FOMO is a thing, okay, if that is a thing that drives people to buy any day one game at any price because of that fear of missing out, the test that we'll be able to employ in our own little group is whenever it is I acquire Ghost of Tsushima, and we will see how interested the group is with playing with me, because I will have not played.
We're interested.
Yes,
we're
but-
100% interested.
but-
we need a raid person.
but
We won't beat the
we
raid
will
until
test.
you get in.
We will test how interested that is, because again, you guys have already logged a number of hours and a number of multiplayer sessions. We will see. I'm not saying that you guys won't, but I'm just saying is I also have another experience, an older experience, relating to being late to the bandwagon when it came to playing games. I was recruited by friends to get into World of Warcraft, and once I finally did, and I put in a decent amount of money up front. Yes, but I put in a decent amount of money to get up to speed, and I blogged some time, and I got up to do some group squads with them, and then honestly, it was only about a month after the fact, after the initial purchase, and they were gone, never to play the game again, and I was left twisting in the wind.
So
That was
the difference
not a very
between
good
that game
experience.
and Ghost of Tsushima, though, is even if we don't play with you, you got a full experience in Ghost of Tsushima.
Well, right,
Because that
yeah.
is first and foremost a single-player game. Also, other people will be online. You don't necessarily need a team, but we will be there. I promise you, we will be there.
Okay.
I don't
We
care.
almost played last
I'm
night.
I'm level 50 something with my assassin. I think he's level 40 something with all his characters. It doesn't matter how many hours we put into this. We're gonna be there because so until Factions comes out, until what is the other multiplayer game that I was thinking about? Whatever it might be. These especially these types of multiplayer games, I find myself just wanting to go back to it and saying, I don't care because it was a good experience. Like that
yeah.
you gotta remember, I compare a lot of multiplayer experiences to the one that I put the most hours in, which is Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And when I put 700 hours into that multiplayer, and that multiplayer, when I tell you, was a steaming pile of garbage, and I played Ghost of Tsushima, I can't, Adam can just tell you how many times I would just make comments on this and say, this is just the multiplayer I've been waiting for. It's a clean working experience. It doesn't crash every time you pull it up. That experience will always leave me wanting to come back to play it over and over and over. It doesn't matter if we're 5 years down a PS5 line. I'll be like,
Yeah.
Adam, you want to boot up Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer? Sure, let's do it.
I honestly, the game I can compare that multiplayer to is Minecraft. Because every so often I'm like, yeah, but I can do a couple rounds, a couple waves in Ghost right now, right? like I'm honestly ready to go at any moment. You got it now? We ready to go. We quitting. Show's over. Start. Let's go. Like, but I have a question for you, Giuseppe.
Sure.
We're getting kind of over, but it's okay. Genesis said we can go over for your topic.
Yeah, we're fine.
What's the last game you bought day one?
Ooh.
That was quite a while ago, I think, right? Was it Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah.
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 And that was it.
Yeah. That was
Okay.
it. Yeah.
All right.
But
It's actually not too far back.
It's not too far back, but I honestly can't. I can't remember. Yeah.
So you never really bought games at full price at 60.
Well, I definitely did though. I definitely did. Like, I definitely did. Like a
Metal
lot
Gear
of the
Solid?
PS3, yeah, Metal Gear Solid for sure. A lot of the PS3 first-party games in that generation, there were a lot that I bought day one. I bought Deus Ex,
Oh.
Human Revolution,
New-
day one.
New Metal Gear game comes out. You're not paying 70. You'll wait.
Absolutely,
I think-
because it's going to be a
I
remake.
think he's gonna wait.
That's
yeah.
definitely a
Oh,
wait.
well, that's assuming this.
Well, it's gonna.
You're
it's,
probably right.
it's going to be a
but-
remake. Konami
Yeah, but if
doesn't
it's remade
have.
but if it's remade by Kojima, say he somehow in a magical world.
That no, even then, no, because I've already played this. I've played the game. Yeah, granted.
What if
they're
they do a
probably-
remake scenario with that and it's
Well, they-
all new story?
Well,
Also, Final Fantasy VII was a remake.
Yes,
you
it
pay full
was.
price
It
for
wasn't the
that.
same story.
yeah. Well, that was not the same story. It was
Correct.
Not,
Well,
What
not
if the
could-
new
the
Metal
story
Gear
at all.
Solid was
Definitely not.
Yeah, it's not the
was,
same stories.
and not the same story.
I first of all, I don't trust Konami to do
no,
to
100%.
do
no,
something
I
innovative.
get that. I get that. Yeah.
So there's
We're just trying to give you like the best scenario. Kojima's there, Sony's funding it, and they're like, all right, Konami, shut up and let
Only
everybody do what they
Kojima
gotta
worked
do."
on it. Nobody else.
Correct.
The problem is that I have far too much meta knowledge of the situation to influence my decision. So I can't unlearn that stuff. I know, like if they, I don't know, they'd have to do something crazy with Solid Snake in the story, basically like doing like a whole like prior to the Alaska incident, you know, like a whole chapter. A whole chapter about him, you know, doing adventures and like the missions from like the NES Metal Gear games. You know what I mean? If they were to do something like that, that would be a big time consideration. But I know I don't have faith in Konami as a developer / publisher to be that degree of innovation to be that innovative. I know the maximum capacity they have is to do like a ground up remake in terms of like graphics and presentation, and then essentially give you the same game. But it will be like an over the shoulder style, similar to what they did in 5.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean it would still be
That's
cool,
why.
but that's definitely not a day one buy. Definitely not. And honestly, they need to do They need to do basically like a new Metal Gear game. If it were a new one, I'd have to consider it. But man, I don't know if there is a game developer out there that can do Metal Gear that isn't Kojima. I know it's possible. I know it's possible, but it's Go ahead.
Well, what do you? I don't know if Jim Sterling mentioned this in his video. What do you think about the argument about like games are cheaper than ever because of inflation?
Yeah, so the inflation argument, that's another trash argument that you go ahead and throw right out the window, because the inflation argument is presuming that all things are equal. And all things are not equal, specifically in regards to wages of consumers. Now, across the board, you can go ahead and make the argument that a lot of gamers, it's not a cheap hobby to get into, but honestly, what hobbies are cheap to get into? Basket weaving, okay, maybe you might have something there, but gaming,
Actually, no.
is basket weaving quite expensive? I don't
Yeah, I
know.
looked into it once. There were some startup kits were expensive, not like super expensive. I mean, anyways, keep going.
Right, expensive for what it was, but anyway,
Yeah.
wages do not even keep up with the rate of inflation. And the inflation argument is a bunch of trash. Okay, things are not equal in that regard. So people's budgets for entertainment are getting squeezed. Heck, this year in COVID 2020 has been, a true indicator for people's need to spend more than perhaps they should on entertainment because of the situation that required people to be, staying at home for extended periods of time. And they maybe didn't have as much opportunity to be distracted by, regular work cycles, going to the office, going to school, going to this, blah, blah, blah. So no, the inflation argument is trash because all things are not equal, specifically as it pertains to wages. It would be a different thing altogether if living wages were a real deal and people didn't have to struggle to pinch pennies for rents, pinch pennies for food, and all the other costs that are affiliated with getting through the day-to-day. It would be nice if those things were taken care of, and then people would be able to make a little bit, a wider berth when it came to spending a little more money than necessary on toys. But no, all of these things considered, again, heightens my spending habits. It really makes me much more sensitive to these things, and I'm not ever looking to spend more money on games because, quite frankly, I spend an awful lot already. But if these games keep getting more and more expensive, I will be buying less and less games. My desire for a variety of games will decrease because I will be that much more selective of the games that I do ultimately buy into. I'll be, less courageous to buy into something that I don't 100% know before I take the wrapper off a new physical copy where I download it from a digital network, that I will 100% love every aspect of this game before even playing a minute of it. And that's a tough ask of any product. But that's where I'm ultimately getting pushed by the industry as a result of these pricing models. So 2 questions really quick before we drop off my stuff, because again this did run a little bit long. Is there any game out there currently that either of you would spend $100 on, and is there any current AAA game out there right now that is priced at full price, whether it's 60 or 70, that definitely needs to be half price at $30?
Assassin's Creed Valhalla needs to be $30.
What?
Needs to actually be zero.
I mean,
Needs to be
yeah, I
thrown in the
agree with
garbage.
that.
Needs to be burned. Anything from Ubisoft, just cut it in the garbage and throw it in the trash.
Do you have a serious answer?
As far as the other one is concerned, any game that's current
that
$100
that you would spend $100 for. Adam already said his.
It's not out.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you said you'd spend let's say if
for another God of War.
Let's say it was just God of War, and it had just come out.
God of War 1.
You would spend $100 on God of War, yeah?
Yeah, I'd spend $100 on Horizon. I'd spend $100 on God of War. I'd spend $100 on Spider-Man 2, probably.
$100 on Ghost. $100
I would say
on Last of Us
no
2.
to all those.
Yeah, hey,
It's just too expensive for one game.
$100 on
I'm glad they're not
PS3.
that
$100 on FF7. $100 on.
Oof.
See, now, are you saying $100 on these games because you've played them, or because of the hype before, or would you actually spend $100 before they came out?
No, I would spend $100 with playing them. That's what I'm basing it on.
Because as much as I like Ghost, I don't think I would have paid $100 for that one.
I would pay
Ghost of Tsushima
$160
too.
for that.
$100. Retroactively, $100 for Ghost of Tsushima. I'm glad I didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wish I bought the collector's edition, which was more than $100.
Right.
So, and then I plan to buy the collector's edition of God of War 2 and Horizon. Probably not Spider-Man. I'm not really into Spider-Man collector stuff. But
I have the original collector's edition of Spider-Man, and I'll pay $100 for that.
Yeah.
I think I paid, what was it, 90? No, 110? I think it was 110.
Half games? Yeah, there's plenty of games I would have. A Valhalla, like I said, if it came with the season pass at 30, yeah, 100%.
If it came with,
Wow.
the signature from Ubisoft that they're closing shop and
Nope,
they're
nope,
going to a
nope.
grave, then yeah, I'll take the game.
All I gotta say is I'm just a minnow swimming with the whales. And with that, let's find out about some rumors. Rumors.
What is it whispering?
I'm gonna put the. This is why I had the table, because I'm gonna put the table because I'm reading the rumors, but I don't want the table anymore. So that's why I was putting the table down anyway. So what is the internet whispering to me? A couple things. Time and time again, we keep talking about Silent Hills. There's more rumors coming out. This is as of December 1st. A couple different podcasts now are confirming that this is going to be seen at the Video Game Awards. That this is a real thing. It is finally time for us to see it. We know we've been mentioning, people have been spitting rumors out about this like multiple times throughout the year, multiple times for other press conferences and things that Sony did and things like that. But they're saying that the way this is going to be shown is Kojima manning the project with backing by Sony, and then Konami allowed them to use the IP. So I guess Konami somehow gets a cut in that. I don't know how that one works. If that is the case, if that's how that is split up, but I don't know how
Perhaps
that
they
works.
did a Sony Disney Spider-Man split.
Probably,
yeah.
Sounds very similar to that. Yeah, I could see that happening. And oddly enough, one of the rumors was saying that the only reason why it's working out this time is because Sony's manning it this time, and Kojima's like, all right, that's fine. If you're doing it, that's not a problem. If they were doing it, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Del Toro's in this one, Norman Reedus as well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if they were gonna it was gonna be like the Norman Reedus Silent Hills or just recast.
No, from what I'm reading, and this is multiple rumors from previous ones that I've read already, and then this new one that just came out again. It's Norman Reedus, it's Del Toro, it's Kojima, and they're working on Silent Hills. It is going to be Hills, as the reboot has been confirmed at that point.
I hope.
This rumor.
I hope for everyone that's true. And at this point, we've heard so much about it, it has to be. But I hope it's just DLC for Death Stranding. Just to piss people off. I just... that would be...
That would be something.
Oh, man. I would live
he made
in
a tweet
ecstasy.
about Death Stranding earlier this year and around July for a quote-unquote DLC. All we got was like a screenshot and the word 19... the number 1980 or something like that, which was around the time of what we were looking at in some of the spoilers, but some of the flashback scenes with Cliff and stuff, it was World War I, World War II, and then just things like that.
How does World War I or II relate to 1980? I don't even know.
No, meaning like we're traveling back in time, because we traveled only back in time in those particular segments, and 1980 has nothing to do with the current time in Death Stranding, because that time is probably 2020 in there. The next one I'm going to go to is also part of the Game Awards. Tom Holland is going to be presenting the Game Awards, and the rumor is that the
he's
trailer.
the host?
No, he's a presenter,
okay, yeah.
not
He's
presenting the
presenter.
entire Game
Sorry.
Award.
I was going to say.
Yes, he's a presenter. I apologize. He's a presenter. People are saying
Jeff Keighley cannot afford Tom Holland. I'm sorry. He cannot.
Welcome to the Game Awards, guys. Mr.
That's
Tom
actually
Holland
not
impression.
bad. That's not bad.
800 out
It's
of
not-
815.
Not
That's
bad.
what I'm ranking
Wait,
it.
is he the host?
No, he's a
Oh,
present. Get out of here. If you
No,
think he's the
hold.
host,
No.
You're a fool.
I'm reading. No, I'm not. I'm not thinking he's the host. I'm just reading.
you just said, is he the host? He's the presenter. I've already read the rumor.
Yeah. So the rumor is that the Uncharted movie trailer would actually be shown at the Game Awards.
Oh
I
boy.
think
That's
I
gonna be a
think that's
disaster.
ridiculous and makes no sense. No, that's literally where you would want to
You would
show
you would,
a movie.
and
It's
it will
probably
be a
going to be a
disaster.
teaser. It's probably going to be a minute and a half or less. It'll probably be like the Uncharted
Right.
theme. I'm not doing it because DMCA. I'm protecting Genesis. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're good.
But it's probably going to be short. He'll probably be like, hey, I'm here to present for voice actor. or something, and then he'll be like, by the way, Uncharted movie's coming on. Stay tuned during the commercial break, or whatever the heck they say nowadays. Or it'll just pop up. And maybe it'll also unveil an Uncharted game. Like a little tease from what Sony San Diego's doing. Probably not, but yeah. That's probably the best. That's probably the best place to put that. But I agree with Giuseppe. No matter what they show, it's not going to go over well.
No, it won't. It will be a disaster.
Yeah, no matter what they do, though. You might as well.
No matter what they do.
Because video game movies.
No, because Mark Wahlberg. Not because of video game, because in this regard, this project, Mark Wahlberg.
Well,
he's just wrong.
I mean, he could blow us away, you know. Does it sound like I'm being confident with what I'm saying? Because I feel like I am.
No,
it doesn't. No, you're right. That guy sucks. Mark Wahlberg, if you're watching, please turn it off. I'd rather have no viewers.
Mark Wahlberg's the only one watching at this point in time. I can confirm that for you right now.
Good.
Shame. I'm quitting. Goodbye.
The next one I was actually going to talk about was the Uncharted game. So there was a couple of rumors that came out earlier last week that I did not get to cover, or maybe I did. I think I did actually. With John Batista quitting Sony San Diego, and people were saying automatically like, "Hey, Uncharted game's canceled. Whatever that spin-off game that was going to come out, that's canceled because he's quitting." And he clarified in his tweet earlier this week. He had made a decision just to move on due to his own personal circumstances. The studio is still there and the project is still ongoing. So he's at least confirmed that some sort of project is there. Obviously, what that is, we have no idea. We're all contemplating it's an Uncharted spin-off.
Is that with a character that is established, or with a brand new cast of characters?
We don't know.
So the rumors have been pointing to either Nathan Drake's daughter or Sully. So one of the two.
What? Those are two awful choices.
They're rumors. They're rumors. Yeah, those are not great choices.
No, those are not great choices.
Quick question, as I answered before this podcast, who is John Batista?
He is a video game designer. He worked in Sony San Diego. I don't know.
Video game designer is not a position.
I don't know. That's just what he is.
All right, hold on.
Is he a director?
Lead gameplay animator. There you go. He's not needed.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not needed. He can leave.
Yeah, it would be another thing.
Also, it looks like it was for personal reasons. Yeah, if he was like the Halo game director, cough, 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 then I would be worried. But he's the lead animator, and he says he left for personal reasons, so he probably just had something personal go on in his life.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that won't derail the project.
No,
it shouldn't. Well, it really shouldn't. I hope not.
Okay. The next one I got, apparently a new Spyro game is on the horizon. Announcement will be in early Q1 2021. Release scheduled holiday 2021. It is currently titled Spyro Experience. Obviously, that's just a working title. But it is another Spyro game. I guess they want to follow in the suit Crash Bandicoot and have a new Spyro game come out. But I would be hyped for a new Spyro game. I absolutely love Spyro, and I platinumed all three the remakes, and I would happily play another Spyro if it came out, because what came after that, back in the day, was complete garbage.
Quick question. Would you pay $70 for it?
Yeah, that is not a $70 game.
Ugh, you would?
Ugh.
I'll pay $70 for that.
Ugh.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm on
brand new one
now.
It's a brand new one because the latest Crash just came out at $60, so it's not like it's something that's already been done. If it's a brand new game, I'll take it.
Why does that separate? For Crash?
Why does that separate? Well, why does Crash and Spyro get separated from that? As far as
the greatest thing about being a human being with choice, you never have to explain why you chose things.
Yeah,
it's just just look at it and you go, yeah, this is worth it, or nah. I just look at things and go, yeah, this is it. No, you would have the same opinions on other games, but
I would pay $70 for Crash, but I'll pay $70 for Spyro. I like Spyro. See? I don't like Crash because I'd rather have a Spyro game back in the day. I never finished a lot of the Crash games, so between the two, I would rather have Spyro. I enjoy Spyro more. That's why I'm not just saying, looking at it and saying yeah and saying no. I'm like, no, I prefer Spyro because I enjoy the gameplay of Spyro better than Crash. I wouldn't spend $60 on Crash or $70, but I'd spend 60 or 70 on Spyro because I enjoyed Spyro as a game.
You wanted to buy
I
the
have
new
a
Crash
reason.
at 60, so
I didn't.
yeah, but then
I
you're
wanted
like,
to, but
then
I
you
didn't.
said I'm just gonna wait for PS5.
Yeah, and then it dropped by the time PS5 came out.
Did you buy it?
No,
Interesting. Very
because I'm
interesting.
still playing. And now I'm playing RE3 and Little Hope. I at least have a reason, unlike, some people.
I have a reason. I just don't think
You
it's worth
you
it.
just
That's my reason. I don't
which
have to
leads
explain
into
more
the
than
next
that.
one.
But a Spyro game, a new Spyro game, yeah, I could see that happening. Makes sense.
I have another one here, which leads from Spyro to Crash. Apparently, when you complete 106% on Crash Bandicoot, the latest one, and you go to a TV in the game, it displays all the logos that's been used for every game since Crash 1 to Crash 4 now. And then the fifth one shows another logo that some people are thinking that is either a spin-off or Crash 5. It's literally an orange half circle on the top, blue half circle on the bottom, and one of those what do they call those fruits in there again?
Wampa?
Wampa, yeah, Wampa fruit in the middle. That is the logo. It is a half orange circle top, half blue circle bottom, and then Wampa fruit right in the middle. That is the logo. It's just odd when you look at it in the actual clip. It literally just pops on for maybe a second, half a second, and it goes away.
A lot of games nowadays tease a sequel, so I'm not surprised.
Some people are saying another Crash sequel. Some people are saying Sly Cooper. A lot of people are saying
What? Sly Cooper?
the blue. They're saying that it's a transition over to the next one.
Activision
whatever
doesn't
next.
own Sly Cooper.
Who owns them again?
Sony.
Oh, are they still owned by Sony?
Yeah, because
Oh,
that
that's
was
how
a
they were in
collection
Ghost.
come
Yeah,
out.
that-
Yeah,
that's how they were in
that's
Ghost,
how they
yeah.
were referenced. Yeah, that's
A couple people are saying Sonic Adventure. They're showing the Sonic Adventure 2 logo, which is oddly looks very similar. It is a
is
red
Activision
half circle
Sonic.
blue. No. They're just. I'm just spitting out what people are showing. That's all.
So people are saying this looks like something. It's got to be this. No, that's just dumb.
They're just
people.
showing comparisons. But the most logical one is just another Crash sequel, so
Yeah.
Crash 5 probably.
Or DLC.
That too, yeah. Or I was thinking even that could be like the Crash back in the day. There was like a tag team Crash. What was that
Racing?
one called? No. It was an actual tag team Crash that only came out in Japan.
nice.
It was.
Ooh.
Some people thought it was Crash 5, and it never came to the States. And you tag team through the entire game. I don't know what it. I don't know what it was. Anyway,
Anywho.
yeah. What do you guys thoughts on that?
Cool.
It's
Cool.
it's
All right.
fine. Yeah.
Giuseppe.
Wait, did that game sell as much as the Crash trilogy? I would assume not. Will
No,
it
I
get
don't
a
think
sequel?
Crash sold as
50-50.
much Crash trilogy.
Kevin was a big Sly
couple
guy.
things. Yeah, a couple things with Crash 2, TOO. It also came out like right before we jumped generations, so it probably didn't sell well also because of that. And I don't even know if it was on the NPD thing.
I don't
May
think
not
it
have been.
was.
So cool.
I don't think
It's good to hope. Maybe one day, maybe in 20 years, they'll remaster all of them again.
Ugh.
Can't wait. Remember, Giuseppe, you didn't know that Crash was as big as it was?
Whatever.
Hey, some things just don't make sense to me either, so.
It's fine.
According to Reset Era, I keep using them a lot. I guess this is where all the rumors come from.
Yeah, that's right.
Reset Era Insider has already mentioned another rumor here, where Firm Software's Elden Ring initially had a release date of March 2021, and now has been delayed. Some of them say 2 to 3, and then I'm looking down further, and I see like longer than that. So I don't
Not
know.
shocked. Not shocked.
2 to 3 years?
No, no, no. Like longer than 2 to 3 months, like maybe 6 to 7 months, and it's all due to COVID-19. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just
not shocked there, but
Have we seen
also
anything of
no.
that
We
game?
have we. That's the thing. That's the indicator right there. There's been no info dumping. There's been no footage
Jeez.
release. There's been nothing. All this
I,
been just
they're
conjecture.
saying some reliable sources like VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb has said that there's a high possibility the game won't be shown at all in 2020,
I believe
barring
it.
a potential reveal at TGA this year. And if it's not shown there, then probably no earlier than E3 next year.
I
Which,
I
mean, it's gonna be E3 next year.
100% believe that rumor. Yep.
I
That's
trust
very
that.
believable.
Also, Jeff Grubb is in the top 10 in the world for Astro runs
Interesting.
currently.
Good to know.
He's,
Pro tip.
he keeps popping up on my Twitter because he's racing Dan Reichert, who used to work at Game Informer, and they just keep beating each other's times, and they're in the top 10 of I think it's the world. So
Nice.
they're crazy.
Last one, and then we're going to wrap it up because I think we're a little over time here. Where is it here? What the heck am I doing? Oh no, what have I done here?
Oh dear.
Oh no, I got it. Giuseppe, I was screaming at you before and you didn't listen to me.
Yes.
Spider-Man, how does he get to Tokyo? How does he do this?
How does Spider-Man? I don't know. He
In the
swings?
comics, has he ever
there a-
gone to Tokyo?
If he has, I'm not aware of it.
Okay, well,
So there's a rumor going around that the next Spider-Man game will be set in Tokyo. So we're like, all right, Giuseppe's got to know if there was ever, a comic book that just depicted Spider-Man going to Tokyo for some reason. We got ourselves a story. If not, then it's all garbage.
To my knowledge, there was never a situation or circumstance that ever required Spider-Man to leave the country, let alone to Tokyo.
there is a Spider-Man in Tokyo, right? Because that girl and her dad robot. I'm just going off into the Spider-Verse.
But that's Spider-Verse. But that's not to say that a story cannot be conceived to send him to Tokyo. I mean, obviously,
What would you think about a Spider-Man in Tokyo?
I think it's fine. But I mean,
You guys seen that post I put with all the Marvel heroes with samurai armor and all? What do you think of a Spider-Man combined with like a samurai type of deal, where like he's almost ninja and he's got all these different weapons. He's got a samurai sword. He can do what a ninja can do, but he also sometimes can have like ghost type of gameplay.
I would hate it.
the-
Spider-Man doesn't kill. No reason to have a sword.
Yeah,
Don't give him a sword then.
yeah, something like that would have to it would be difficult to turn that into a game first. In order to have something like that exist in entertainment, it would have to start at its root, and it would have to start in some kind of a comic book. You know what I mean? Like a Spider-Verse offshoot thing. You know, it's like, let's see how this kind of a story plays first in that form, and then you could revisit something like that in a gameplay session after the fact. Kind of like with Shattered Dimensions, and you had Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Man Noir, and all. You had all those different gameplay, but that was after those different Spider-Men were, well established in comics. You know what I mean? First, so I would say like if Spider-Man, Samurai Spider, were done in the books some way, and obviously it would not be Peter Parker. It would be a different kind of Spider-Man. But
Getting back to the rumor, why did this rumor start?
I don't know. Some
Some
Instagram,
random guy just
YouTube
said.
channel with 186,000 subscribers had posted, "I'm hearing rumors that this and this." This is how normal rumors start. That's why I was like, if there's no comic book reference of this, I don't think I'm gonna really.
I'm gonna call this the BS rumor of the week.
it may be.
Yeah.
Nothing about this was hinted at in any of the games.
Yeah.
Not really
I mean-
a spoiler for Miles Morales, but again, why would that even be in there?
Yuri's from Japan. What if we follow
From
her to
Japan?
Japan for some reason because she goes on a murder spree there?
What-
That's a very loose.
Oh.
In what did she say she was from Japan? Because I'm pretty sure she was raised in America.
I mean, what if she has family back there and now
She
she's
may be
going to go on a
Japanese.
murdering
Yeah,
spree
she
there?
Are
may
you
be.
just assuming?
That's a,
I need you to
I'm
reconsider
just
some things in
saying.
your life.
there's a yeah. Well, in order to take Spider-Man and put him into a different city in a completely different setting for the entirety of the game, you'd have to have a very, very strong story reason to do that. And
I
that's
got it. I got a
and,
screenshot.
and that's a very difficult thing to ask, considering that the comic stories very rarely take him out of New York, let alone the country, for any reason. So it's a tough. That's a tough one.
Yeah,
Somebody was
It could be
streaming,
done. Could be done with the right story. Definitely could be done
I mean, sure, maybe he does go to Japan for like a mission.
for a
Somebody
mission.
was streaming Cyberpunk earlier today, and I managed to get a couple screenshots not taken down by CD Projekt Red. So they made a comparison. I just posted it in our chat. They made a comparison of the current build of PlayStation 4 and the original E3 from previous year, right? Because there was no E3 this year.
I
so there
do
was
not
no...
know which side is which.
I don't either.
So the left side, as
And
you
by
see
the
where it says
quality
on
of
air.
this image, I don't see a difference.
All right. Well, I'll get the original image and I'll just put it on there.
So is that it
And-
for and no more rumors? No more?
That's it. That's all I got. That's all she said, and that's all she died
Not
for.
a lot of whispering this week. That's why it was okay if we went over on yours.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
Okay, before we wrap this up, what are we doing next week?
What are we doing next week?
Yeah, what are we doing next week? Next week is the week of the Game Awards.
Is it
Special
good?
week.
Are we gonna have our? Well, we have to have our predictions.
We have to have our predictions, and then are we doing like a cast after the Game Awards, or like the next day,
Let me
or
follow.
are we waiting until the next week?
I don't have my schedule posted for that week, so I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure what my schedule would be after the fact. I would love to do a reaction cast immediately following the show. I would
So
love
would
to
I.
do that.
I think that would be cool.
I would definitely love to do that.
So is all our topics next week just predictions? Because we don't want to rush
Predictions.
that. I have a question though.
Yes.
What is it?
Can I make a Game Awards quiz for next week?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, that's what we'll do then. We'll do the quiz, and then we'll do our predictions. I don't know which
Awesome.
order yet. I'm gonna
Awesome.
make.
Love it.
It'll only be like 10 questions. It won't be 15 because I want it to be a little bit shorter.
Okay.
But I just wanted to make a quiz
Nice.
since we enjoyed that so much last time.
Awesome. I'm liking it. Feeling it.
All right. I don't have much else.
Awesome.
McRib comes out the 2nd in the United States. So
Oh
guys, go
boy,
get a
McRib.
Excited.
McRib.
Genesis, none for you.
No, I don't need them.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up episode 18 of Crafting a Chat. From your boys, Adam, Genesis, Giuseppe Jones, hey, we want to say thank you all for listening to us, crafting a chat with us. Come on back next week. We're going to be talking about the Game Awards. We're going to be talking about Game Award quizzes, some trivia, and hopefully it'll be an awesome time.
How many McRibs I ate?
Yeah, it might be. It could happen. But hopefully not. So, yeah. Everyone be good. Stay COVID free. Stay safe. Make good decisions. Don't be dicks in life. And we will see you next week for Crafting a Chat.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, good job. Good job, everybody.
Okay. It's pretty good. Pretty solid. Awesome. Ciao.
Woo! That was a good one. Solid discussion about the topics there.
Yeah, it did unfortunately run a little